welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me.
Down the inside,
Absolutely impossible season.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakely will dive to the inside.
We're robust, we got our elbows out.
Ronar takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yarda Watmere is your champion.
Let me know when we're done.
Oh, we're on.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to PSGL for E-Series season number 6. We're here for the qualifiers for this season's championship. And of course, you might have just seen our quick little trailer from SRC, Sim Racing Centre. A brand new trailer dropped live here this evening. Of course, make sure to head over to the Sim Racing Centre website. They are going to be sponsoring us for this season. A big thank you to Sim Racing Centre. And remember, with SRC, you will always experience excellence. But, Corey, it's crunch time. This is probably my favourite part of a championship because we have, at the moment, 14 teams all looking to qualify for only 3 spots in the best and biggest championship, bar F1 Sim Racing.
Absolutely. This is where it all comes down to the wire. All these drivers looking to get out here, represent their teams and get themselves a lucky spot, only one of 3, like you say, Nathan, into the biggest championship on offer in sim racing. They have that prize fund up for grabs, so make sure the teams have selected the perfect drivers to set the best laps possible that could give them the highest chance of being one of those 3 lucky teams to get in there and a possible fight for that prize fund.
Certainly, and we have all of our teams in the first session of qualifying. We're just waiting for one more driver to join, and then we'll be getting underway. But let's have a look at the teams that are taking part in Group A of our 3 group qualifiers. So we have 5 teams here, 10 drivers, 2 for each team. The first team is Prodigy Racing, PGR. It's their first time, I believe, qualifying here in E-Series. They're a new team and, well, recently came under a bit of scrutiny, but we'll leave that one to the chat. We have Sierra Esports team, who are also, well, they're known, but they're not the best team, I should say. They've qualified twice, 15th and 16th, never made it into E-Series. Then we have SCI, who've qualified many times, but of course under CPI and under Shazoo. Of course, CPI was in the Season 4 of PSGL E-Series. And we have Vroom, who have only made it in once, which was back in Season 2. And then ETA, who have only made it in once, and that was due to being a reserve in the Season 3 Championship, Corey.
Yeah, so 10 drivers looking to set the best times possible. So like you say, some controversial names up there, but we'll leave that for the chat to handle. And again, Sierra Esports haven't done too well in the past, not managed to make it in. Maybe this is the time to shine for them. Can they hopefully have the drivers to set themselves in? But at the moment, we're waiting for their second drivers to get in here to set their laps and hopefully qualify for this championship. But we are going to take a quick little look at the track that you shall see qualifying begin at. That is right, sunny Sakhir in Bahrain, 5.412 kilometers long with 15 turns and 3 DRS zones. So you've got 5.4 kilometers, 15 turns. Can you pull out the time when it's needed? Can you deliver for your team? And of course, maybe we could see something, I don't know, unorthodox, something surprising in from Group A. Maybe one of the teams to qualify could be sat right here, right now, in the starting session of qualifying.
Certainly, and we have all of our drivers in, which means we can ready up and get ourselves into our first session of the evening. Of course, this season we already have 7 qualified teams taking part. It's going to be a very, very stacked event. We're just going to have a just going to get ourselves into the session. But while we get into the session, let's have a look at the teams that we have taken part. So, Veloce Academy, who had an enthralling battle with TES last season, they are automatically qualified through, so they don't have to take part in qualifying. But then we have 6 of our F1 sim racing teams taking part. So we have Scuderia Ferrari, who have been here ever since season 2. We have Williams Sim Racing, who've been here ever since the start. R8G, who've also been here since season 1. Alpine Sim Racing, their first time at taking part in the championship. Then Red Bull, who debuted in season 5, and then McLaren Shadow, who also debuted back in season 5. I mean, those 6 teams there, also including Veloce Academy, Corey, they are insane. So if any of these community teams which qualify can beat them, that's a statement for sure.
Absolutely. If you can get yourself up against these top tier sim racing teams and eventually win against them, what's that to say for you as a driver? Potentially even open the door for something to come your way. Have the teams got the best drivers, better than what have been picked out already for the pro sim racing teams? But now we are getting ready for our first 18 minutes of qualifying for Group A. I'll take us to the track.
Indeed, let's head trackside here in Bahrain. All of our cars heading straight onto track immediately to get their first laps in. And I believe if they time it correctly, they can get 4 qualifying times in here in this session, which means there's lots of opportunities for getting some decent laps on the board. But of course, you've got to time everything right. And also, make sure that you can deal well with pressure, because obviously I've been here ever since season 2. I've seen every single qualifiers. And there's always teams and drivers that you look at and think, right, they've got a chance here of qualifying. They get into the session, they crumble under pressure, and things don't end too well. So we see a lot of fast drivers here in Group A, same for B and C, but in this they're kind of equal because everybody's suffering pressure. This is a very pressurising moment for all these teams, especially some of those that are a team that will be looking at this and thinking, we've got to be lucky. They're going to be under so much pressure because they want to, be that outlier, be the underdog. Similar to what we saw from ABS and CPI last time. The same can go for Tasman Racing Team back in season 4. So I expect a couple of upsets here, Corey. 3 spots available, 14 teams. There's, in my opinion, at least 6 which can take part in this championship. So lots to play for.
Absolutely, like you're saying, just a tremendous pressure on these drivers' heads. They know what's at stake, and they've only got 18 minutes each to produce the laps. Well, let's not forget, we are still restricted under the tyre usage limit, so if they have to go softer compound to get that extra set of softs, it could mean the difference in the final qualifying run. Do you have the time to pull out 4 laps? We see everybody's already taken to the tarmac. First driver to take us away is Tristan for Vroom in those scarlet red Ferraris.
Indeed, and to make, not Vroom, sorry, to make the day worse for SET, Sierra Esports team, they have also been hit with a 0.5 second penalty for having a driver be subbed in too late, which means they pretty much have 0 chance to qualify. If they do qualify, I could bet £1 million on it and not worry. And I'm also poor. I don't actually have £1 million, so that shows how unlikely it is for them to qualify here this evening. A big shame for that team, especially considering they're one of the smaller teams. They're going to be putting a lot of work into wanting to qualify. Now, that is stripped away before they've even started their first lap. But of course, we do have Tristan Tebergor on track, of course, part of the Vroom team who took part back in season 2. They qualified 5th, made it in by 5 thousandths of a second back then. That was ahead of ETA Esports and then ABS Racing Team. So, can they do it again? That is the question. It's going to be difficult because they've had a poor couple of qualifying since, but you can never say never here, can you, Corey?
No, absolutely not. Like you said, there's only 3 spots available and 14 teams are all fighting for it. So there's huge pressure and a lot to gain. Massive gains for yourself as a driver and for your team. There goes Tristan for his first lap, 27 flat, and immediately beaten by Prodigy Racing at Campbell Adams.
Indeed, a very nice lap there from Campbell. Noel jumps up into P2 there for ETA. Gabel Chontos straight to the top with a 26.226. A few more cars still to cross that line. We've got Jeremy Glanier up to P4. Kevin Balash only managing P6 there with a 26.723. Finn Geertz jumps up into P2. And Florian Farnzelter there just a couple thousandths back in P3, just ahead of his PGR teammate. The next car to cross the line will be Geno for Sierra Esports team. A little bit of a poor exit out of the final corner, heads to the line and will set a 127.498.
Oh, terrible lap there. Not what he wanted. He needs to pull something back, but it's for his second teammate who's coming into Sector 3 now. Can he pull some time back? They've already facing half a second time penalty, so that will technically put Geno just shy of a 28 if you were to put that on. But it's all to play for. It's all to play for here. Now, Einver, say Caesar, I don't know how to say that name. That's a new one to me, that I've got to say. Has dived into the pits. He's not happy with his lap. Didn't even want to set the banker time.
No, straight back into the pit lane. Not ideal there for SET to open up this session. But we can see most of our drivers now just heading around into the final corner. And then, of course, going to be strapping on a new set of boots to go again in this session. And, of course, the top 5 at the moment. He's going to be Gabor Chontos, Finn Geertz, Florian Fanzelter, Campbell Adams, and Noel for ET8. And I think at the moment, the team which is probably net best is PGR, both on a 0.4, both on a mid 0.4. So a great job so far by Florian and Campbell. But of course, still lots of time to go in this session, lots of time still to be gained. I've been speaking to a couple of drivers, and we've been seeing the 25.9s, 25.8s. And we are certainly quite a far bit away from that at the moment. So, of course, everyone just heading back in will strap on a new set of tyres and go once again. And yet again, a big thank you to SRC, Sim Racing Centre, for sponsoring the new series of PSGL E-Series. Of course, it was a bit in doubt before the season began if we would ever have a new season. But thanks to SRC and, of course, Connor at PSGL, we certainly do have so. Make sure to check them out on their website, simracingcentre.com, to have a look at their variety of different products.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly go and check out SRC that have made all this possible again for another season. Season 6 coming at you, and you can see the nice, shiny sponsor boards on your screen advertising the lot. PSGL and Sim Racing Centre, there it is, coming up on you as you get through towards Sector 2, now the start of Sector 2. 3, 5 and 6, you get hits with the lovely signs and the lovely logos. And of course, with SRC, you can experience excellence.
Indeed, you can. And yes, I haven't seen the sponsor boards yet until I just looked over your stream, Corey, and they look really, really nice. I do love that black and yellow. I think it is a really good colour combination. So yeah, I might actually download them next time just so I have them on, because they do really look a lot better than the ones we have normally for Bahrain anyway. But we do have most of our cars back out once again here in this session onto track to set their second lap times on the board. Of course, for Inver, it will be their first lap time on the board, and the first one to set a time will be Inversizo, who's in P10, heading down to the final corner now. Let's see, can he get something started for Sierra Esports team?
Well, they certainly need something on the bag. They're currently sat there with a 1:28 time, with Enver not having that time set on the table. But he's going to cross the line now, get that timer ticking down, and will get himself ready to slam on the brakes into that harsh, brutal turn 1. But then you've got to be careful on turn 2 as well. It's very easy to light up those tyres. You get a bit too happy on the throttle and just put a bit too much power down, and they spin up and come away from you. But he's dealt with it well, and on we go up towards turn 4.
Indeed, a decent first sector so far here from Inver. Let's see at the end of sector 1 what it will be. A 28.5 there for Inver. Not the best first sector in the world, but certainly a comfortable one for his banker lap. The next to start a lap will be Campbell Adams here for PGR. Of course, has been around for the past, I'd say, 6-7 months near the top of the scene. Kind of appeared out of nowhere in my eyes and was straight up in towards F3 and F2, and he's certainly a very quick driver over in the Australian region, or the Oceanic region. And you can see that showing here a little bit of light from his car as he heads through the first sector. Let's see what it'll be here for Campbell. A 27.7 improves by just shy 2/10. That's already putting him pretty much on the lap time of Gabor Chontos, but he's made a slight mistake into turn 8 on my side, and that could certainly cost him some time. Let's see what he can do here heading into 9 and 10, and then, of course, back down to turn 11.
Yeah, it's now going to be aided with that DRS, but with a moment, as it cost him the time when it were needed most, he was up in Sector 1 looking to be one of the fastest so far in this session. Like you said earlier, Nathan, PGR could be a team to watch out for here in this qualifying. But we've still got 2 more sessions to go, 2 more groups to get some laps in, so let's not say and try and call it early. Just shy of 3/10 up as it's that Sector 3 split, so this will be a provisional pole time in the first session for Group A.
It certainly could be. This is going to be a definitely straight to the top of the timings here for Campbell Adams. Through out to the final corner here for PGR. What can Campbell Adams set on the board to the line? Will it be a 25? No, it won't be. A 10th away, a 26.1. The next car will be Tristan Derbacourt to the line. Jumps up in towards, no, stays 8th, a 26.894. Did improve, but not enough for position, as we do see there. EC8 Knoll up into P4, just behind the back of his teammate, who's also about to cross the line, as Florian Van Zelter goes up into P2 for PGR. A great start to the session so far for those. We did see Finn and Gabor both bail into the pits. Kevin Balash is currently up by just shy of 4/10 in that middle sector. Needs a lot here through that final corner if he wants to try and jump up closer to his teammate of Gabor Chontos. Up to the line here for Kevin Balash. Where does he go? Just behind his teammate with a .319.
Wow, look at that, as we've still got quite some minutes to go in this qualifying session. Every team lining up side by side all the way down.
Well, that is, I've never, listen, I love it because it is satisfying when you see all the teams together. I've never seen that happen before, but there we go. 2 Alpines, 2 McLarens, 2 Mercs, 2 Ferraris, and then, of course, the 2 Williams right at the back of the field. Wouldn't say it's that realistic there, with the LP being at the front, but otherwise, the order's quite realistic. McLaren, Merc, Ferrari, Williams.
Yeah, it's apart from the Alpines being up there on top, you know, it's just something you don't see every day. But we love to see Alpines on top. And for PGR, they're certainly setting the benchmark times, both for the 26.1. Both drivers looking to be evenly matched. Is the time to come? We said that we could potentially see that 25.9 time to come for PGR. Maybe it is.
Yep. It certainly could be. I mean, like I said earlier on, I don't believe they've ever qualified, or at least attempted to qualify for E-Series, so this would be great for them to qualify on their first ever attempt. SCI, as I've said before, used to be Shizou and CPR. They merged at the end of F1 24. Of course, CPR took part last season. Shizou missed out by just under half a tenth. They finished 8th in Season 5 qualifying. Then back in Season 4, I don't believe CPR were there. No, they weren't, but of course, Shizou were, and they finished 8th there. So, you know, they're never at the bottom of the barrel. They're always just a couple of tenths away from making a qualification spot. And, I mean, this time around could be their first chance to have a go in PSGL E-Series. And, I mean, they are a team which have been around for such a long time. I mean, when I came into the scene around 3 years ago, they were one of the top teams. So, surprising not to see them ever have taken part before, Corey.
Well, hopefully today is the day that they can try and get themselves through. I'm just on board with Gabor Santos for Shizou, or shall we say SCI now, as they've done that merge with CPI. It's now Shizou Sedar Igniters, as we come to know it. But you see the drivers merging together, and they're certainly looking to set some pace. But for Gabor Santos, as he comes up out of turn 3, is there an improvement to come? We need to see something. Can anybody challenge the PGR boys? They're looking too comfortable up there. 10th split from anybody who could potentially challenge them.
I mean, Gabor, let's see what he can do here. He's down by 0.02 of a second here. So still a lot of time to gain, because it did look like a pretty decent first sector there from Gabor. But, I mean, I expected PGR to do well, but I didn't expect them to be both on 0.1s by the time we hit 5 minutes to go. That is very good for PGR. And certainly will be a time that's going to be contested with. You're looking at a mid 0.1 combined, pretty much. I don't remember how it works. It's, I think, no, it's both of them added together, isn't it? Ignore
yes,
me.
I think so.
Some places they do it added together. Other places they kind of just look at them both and average them out. But let's see what Gabor can do. Up by 20 thousandths. And I mean, I expected a bit more on this lap, considering he opened up the session with that lap time. I'd expect at least a couple of tenths by now here by Gabor. So let's see what he can do into that final corner. Decent, of course, running very wide as he exits out of turn 15. Up to the line now. Will it be an improvement? It will. And it was that final sector where Gabor was missing out time.
5 thousandths of a second to take the fastest time so far. Kevin Balasters, yeah, anything that he can do to respond to that and try and put the pressure on anybody else from behind. PGR now on an out lap. I'm going to go on board with Campbell Adams as he's actually crossed the line. Is he on a lap or was that an out lap?
I think Campbell's just begun a lap. Yes, he was on an out lap last time out. He's flying through turns 1, 2 and 3. Let's see what he can do into turn 4. Of course, just after that 100-metre board, get the car braked in, just dabble on the curb, don't hit it too much through turn 4. Then on the exit, you can ride the curb all the way through as he's up by 8 thousandths. So still finding time here is Campbell Adams. And of course, it was sector 1 and sector 2, which wasn't the best for Gabor Chontos. Let's see, can Campbell be better in that sector 2 here compared to Gabor as we head down to turn 10?
Still waiting to see if we're going to get this 25 time. People have predicted it, and I like to prove predictions correct. If somebody can call it out, then good for you. It's good to see, but we're currently waiting to see if Campbell Adams can break it. Gabor Santos with that 26.1. Campbell Adams now coming around 11 and back around 12. Is he going to hit that sector 2 split time? What sort of improvement is there to come? 14 thousandths of a second. So not that much, but it is enough to take Paul away, the fastest time away from Gabor Santos here in Group A.
That's what he could do into the final couple of corners here for Campbell Adams. Of course, was at the top of the timings earlier on, but Bales has confidence here and decides to pit and, of course, get prepared for one final run in this session. Every car will be heading out onto track shortly to begin their final qualification laps to see if they can get their team qualified for Season 6 of PSGL E-Series, brought to you by Sim Racing Centre. Of course, it'll be Finn Gates first out, then we have Noel, then we'll have Kevin Balash along with, I think that's Florian Fernzelter, and then Geno as well following in behind. The two Vrooms are just heading out now, heading out of their pit boxes.
So we're on board with Finn Geert as he's about to come into Sector 2 on an out lap.
He certainly is. And let's see what he can do on this next one. So ET8 so far, both on a 0.4. I think that's safe to say that will not qualify you for this championship this season. So they've got to find, I'll probably say 4/10 here if they want to have a chance, because we're going to see a lot more quicker lap times come through by SCI and PGR. And then, of course, we've got some very competitive teams in the other sessions as well, such as we've got ABS, TF10, Tomashing Sim Racing, FVR. Very competitive teams upcoming here. So ET8 need a lot of lap time here as Finn Geertz heads out the final corner, Corey, to begin his final lap time of the session.
Absolutely, so we do keep an eye on Finn as he comes powering down towards turn 1. Is to get harsh on the brakes, and again, it's very easy to lock the rear tyres as you go into the right-hander, and it's very easy to light up the rears on the throttle coming back around turn 2. But Finn's dealt with it well, gets that rear wing open, powers up towards turn number 4 now. And I hear people complaining about my camera settings. Yeah, well, I'm not a driver, so my camera settings are not pro settings. It's just what I use.
Indeed, and Finn is down in that first sector, but we did see he also ran wide through turns 5 and 6, and certainly cost him some time. Not the best opening start here for Finn Geertz on his final lap in this session as he heads down towards turn number 9 and 10. Of course, harsh on the brakes, get the car turned in nice and early, back on the power immediately, battery being deployed straight away, DRS open, down towards turn number 11 here for Finn. Of course, we'll shortly get to see how much he's up or down by in that second sector. Through turn 11, back into the right at turn number 12 and 13. What will it be here for Finn Geertz? He's up by 22 thousandths. That's nowhere near enough what he needs here if he wants to see ET8 going through into the next E-Series season, as Invasizo didn't cross. Oh no, we didn't go out on track, so he will be done on a 28.2. I think that confirms, Corey, that we won't see SET next season.
No, absolutely not. We will not see SET make it through, but for Finn, he stays exactly where he is. We'll jump on board with his teammate, who has unfortunately picked up that invalidation. Next is that Campbell Adams. No, it's his teammate for PGR, Florian, as he comes down towards the final 2 turns. What sort of improvement can we see for PGR? PGR looking good here to be a favourite for qualifying, but we've still got 2 sessions to go, so let's not call it early yet. As Florian crosses the line, no improvement there. Next will be the SCI driver Kevin Ballas, no improvement either.
Well, Kevin did improve time, but not position. Florian was up by half a tenth in that middle sector, but messed up that final corner. Could possibly cost PGI a spot in E-Series there, but we've still got Gabor and Campbell on track together. They're only a couple of seconds apart, so we'll be able to see both of them cross along at the same time. Gabel's a second down. Campbell's a 1,000th up here as he heads through turn 14. Down towards the final couple of corners here. Can Campbell jump ahead of Gabor Chontos? Of course, was up by a couple of thousandths on that run previously. Bailed, went into the pits, has decided to go for one final run here at the end of the session. Is it enough to take the top spot and help PGR have a chance of qualifying through? No. Stays in P2. The top four, no improvements in position. The only one to improve on lap time was Kevin Balash.
Oh, it's only one driver to improve, and Gabor Santos did back out of his lap there, so that is it. Qualifying Group 1 is done.
It certainly is, and I mean, SCR and PGR, no, SCI and PGR, there we go, I'll get it right. Definitely going to be fighting here hard to get a spot because they are four competitive times here for those two teams. So we'll have to see how they shape up compared to some of our teams coming up next. But we'll see the ending shortly, Corey. I'm going to have to jump out this session quickly so I can head off to making Group 2 because the drivers, as usual, don't like hosting lobbies, so the commentators now have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. You go and make your lobby. I'm just going to pull up the final times for one last time so people can take note and they can see if their teams have potential chance to get in there. So if you want to do any mathematics, you want to get some numbers running and see if your team has any form of chance of getting in there in qualifying as we get through Group B and Group C, you certainly can do. But other than that, we shall get ourselves ready, like Nathan says, for session number 2 and Group B. I'll bring you back to our commentator's corner.
Indeed, as yes, the session's just ended and it wouldn't let me leave, so I've had to wait again and again and again. But yes, very competitive between our first couple of teams. Of course, there's some at the back who we know already pretty much aren't qualified. But of course, PGR and SCR, they're not confirmed, but they're certainly going to be in strong stead heading into the ending of this season. Of this qualification night. As I'm still trying to get the session, and it won't let me. Brilliant.
Yeah, I've just left the session as well, but yeah, I don't know, it's up in the air yet. I gotta say, for PGR though, I don't know if they're gonna make it. Prodigy Racing, they were looking fine, they were looking close, but it's still a lot of teams to run their laps. 9 teams left to go, and in Group B, we shall take a quick little look at the teams that are now going to come at you for 18 minutes of their qualifying to see if they can get in to E-Series Season 6, the biggest championship in sim racing for the prize fund. Starting us off, Precision Racing, to see if they can potentially get themselves in it. I'm just trying to pull up my little notepad again where I've got some spicy information regarding these. So Precision Racing qualified 12th in Season 3 with Pasquale Ranelli and Harvey Cohen potentially driving here in qualifying tonight with ABS. They've qualified 6th in Season 5, the last spot in E-Series, and finished 10th in the championship, with 11th in Season 4, 9th in Season 3, and 7th in Season 2 being ABS. TF10, a team that you have known for thus far, has taken part in every season bar Season 4, where they qualified 4th place. Other than that, we have Team Tatum Restec, who you cannot expect to qualify in this, as they have been slapped on the booty with a 1.5 second penalty after they had a late submission of lineup and then a late reserve swap. As you saw, SET in Group A also be handed a half-second penalty for the reserve swap last minute. So the 1 second penalty is for both drivers being submitted late, and then another half-second penalty for a reserve swap last minute. So TRT, do not expect them to be anywhere near the qualifying grid, or potentially even, I don't know, they might try, they might not, but their chances of being in E-Series for Season 6 are well and truly out the window. And then finally ending off with Team FCT Esports.
Indeed, as the lobby is open, I'm just trying to get everyone in, so Corey, please carry on rambling on while I get everything sorted.
No, it's all good, it's all good. We are going to take a quick little look at the calendar though. I think this is something that I can pull up now in between in the little middle. We can have a look at what is to come for Season 6, which doesn't start for another 2 weeks after qualifying. So you're going to have a week break, and then we start for Round 1 in Australia before we head over to Round 2 in Brazil. Now, Round 1 Australia, got to call this out, always the best place to start a season, no matter what you're racing, no matter what league you're in, no matter where you are. You start in Australia, it's always a banger. Plenty of places to overtake, 9 and 10 as well. Can you pull a move off in there? If you can, it's all for entertainment. Everybody loves to see that sort of stuff. And of course, gives you a little bit of that aura that everybody likes to talk a lot about. I've seen it in the chat, I see it in Discord chat, everybody mentions aura. So if you want to pull off some spicy overtakes for Round 1, Australia certainly the place to do it before we head over to Brazil, like I say. And then Round 3, lining us off in Mexico before we head over to Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium for Round 4. Round 5 will be Austria, and that is reverse track. As you can see, the R there, that is reversed. So it is a race, but in a reverse track format. Turn 1 is turn number 9, as you would expect to see. It's going to be interesting. That's something that I'm excited to see. The introduction into reverse tracks into this game cycle has allowed a little bit of difference in competition. You know, all these drivers may get caught out when we start driving backwards, to say the least. But moving on, we have our break week. So no racing, have yourself a little rest in end of August before we come back on the 29th for Miami. Now, I don't mind Miami. It's one of those tracks where you can have a good race, but that long back straight down in the final closing laps, it's just a fight for DRS, so it can get a little bit repetitive before we head over to Barcelona in Spain. Now, it wasn't seen too much last game. I know it had a couple of issues, so people tended to avoid it. But now we are back and showing Barcelona off to its natural beauty before we head over to my home Grand Prix, Britain, Silverstone Circuit, and then it is Italy being Monza. It is indeed, yes. Sometimes you see Italy come up twice. One of them's Imola and one of them's Monza, so you have to read the track name to make sure you've got the right one. We do head over to Monza for round 9 before we head over to Baku, the street circuit in Azerbaijan for round 10, and then Texas, quarter circuit of the Americas, whatever you wish to call it. I just call it Texas now, as we start to see more and more tracks unfold over in America. And then we end off, and oh my god, I can't believe it, it's my favourite circuit of the entire calendar. It is Jeddah Corniche Circuit in Saudi Arabia. Love it. Now it's a safety car magnet, but god, it can bring you some mighty fine racing. And the way you flow through Sector 1 with 13 turns to navigate, insane.
Indeed, we've got most people in. We've got 8 drivers in now. Just waiting for a couple more to come in. Of course, very competitive lineups heading into this one. I think a team to watch is certainly TF10. They've got Chanakinchi and Alex Santana. Alex has been around quite a lot for TF10 when they've been here in E-Series in the past, and Chanakinchi has also been around for a very long time. Previous Challengers driver. I believe has also spent some time as a dev driver in certain teams. And well, now he's back again and looking to qualify TF10 for their, I believe, would be 5th season, taking part in E-Series. The only one they haven't made it into was Season 4, which they finished 5th in, and they were a 10th away from qualifying.
Ooh, interesting stuff. So I'd love to see TF10 come back, and of course TF10 have taken part in every season, bar Season 4, where they only qualified 4th out there and didn't actually make it in. But they're back again, looking to try and challenge for what could be their time to shine against these, like we say, pro esports teams. 7 auto qualifiers, 1 being the previous champion, and then 3 spots available. We've seen Group A, we're on to Group B. But before we go any further, let's have a nice little chat with the people that made all of this happen. Hear from our sponsors over at SRC. And we are back, and we are 10 drivers in, I believe. Oh no, is that 9? I need to change to spectator. So that's 9, waiting on one more driver to make it the 5 teams qualifying here in Group B, as he does manage to join us in the session. Every driver showing up. We have Precision Racing, ABS Esports, TF10 Esports, Team Tatum, Restec, and Team FCT Esports, all looking to try and secure their spot, one of 3 potential spots being available. Now, what would be interesting to see if we get one driver from Group A, one team from Group B, and one team from Group C, making it into those 3 spots. So whoever was the top front runners out of the first session could potentially have taken a spot, just like in this session and just like in Group C. But we are going to get underway very shortly for Group B, so stay tuned for what is to come here in Bahrain.
Indeed, we have all of our drivers in the session now, ready to go and head into this next one. And I'm looking in the steward inquiries, Corey, and I see an impeding, a thread being made for impeding. So PGR want to report someone for impeding that last one. So that could be, well, it could be an actual impeding, or could just be or could just be a way of trying to get someone a penalty. I mean, you might as well. You lose nothing by trying it. So.
Yeah, if you're not going to make it into qualifying, you think you're not going to get into the championship, you're going to lose absolutely nothing, but you can make it ever more difficult for your rivals to get in there. You know, you are still racing each other as teams, you're all competing in the championship, and there is that prize fund in the end of this. So when there's money involved, you will do anything to make sure that you can at least win the championship and get up there in qualifying to even be a part of it. But again, only 3 spots, so Nathan, it's tight. The pressure is on.
It certainly is, and we are straight into the session, just loading in now, and then of course we'll get to see all of our cars back out on track once again. Of course, this session is going to be Precision Racing, ABS Esports, TF10 Esports, TRT, Tatum ResTech, and then FCT. Of course, FCT, I don't really know who they are. I think they're relatively new, probably more of an amateur team. But of course, PR, they've kind of disappeared in the past. They're back again for the millionth time. Then we have ABS Esports, who've been around for a long time. Of course, they qualified back in Season 5. They qualified 6th place and then finished bottom in the championship. So not the best when it comes to the actual racing, but qualifying-wise, very strong. Then we have TF10, like I said before. Same team have been here ever since Season 1. Missed out in Season 4 by one singular place, and looking to run it back once again. Then, of course, TRT, who qualified back in Season 4, qualified 3rd, had Angelo D'Ortenzio at that time, who was absolutely rapid for them, scored them a podium or 2. They finished, I believe, 6th in Series 4, but then haven't been here ever since, and unfortunately, won't be here again this season because they are 1.5 seconds down in penalties.
I apologise if anybody heard my little snigger though. We just saw an Aston Martin fall through his pit garage floor. That being Extra Fox. that was the second time I've seen that. First time was a Ferrari. Second time in Group B was an Aston Martin of Extra Fox. Just as you try and leave the pitch, you just fall through the floor. But okay, there seems to be a bit of a visual bug as we get going into Session 2, Group B. And it is Tomasco Kenny, a driver's name that you've seen plenty of times before. If you haven't, then get your knowledge up for ABS, who's come to represent them and potentially challenge for what could be their time to shine in E-Series.
Certainly, and I think PR are going into this quite confident because, first of all, Harvey Cohen has been, yet again, around for a very, very long time. He just never disappears. Fortunately, that was I nearly messed up with that one. But no, he's been here for a very long time. Has been part of RHG, has been part of other, I think it was McLaren or something a couple of years back. But he's now with PR, took on more of a management role this time around, but he's also going to be a driver. He is very quick when it comes to qualifying. And then we have Pasquale Ranieri, who is also very quick when it comes to qualifying. I believe he was like 7th place when we came to our PSGL main tier qualifying. So it seems that he's got the pace, that's for sure. So they are definitely going to be a team, a scary team, looking to qualify. And then, of course, TF10, who are also on track. Chan and Alex, 2 very decent drivers, so we'll see what they can do. But let's have a look here, Corey, at Harvey Cohen for PR.
I will go on board with Harvey Cowen. I was on board with Tomasco Kenny. He's had a few little wobbles on that lap as he was going through Sector 2. Didn't look too shabby, didn't look too tidy, so maybe he might bail out of this one, save himself some time and go back into the pits. But we are on board with Harvey Cowen, somebody who could potentially bring PR to the top here, help them in their qualifying efforts to get into the E-Series Championship as he does get around turn number 8 and down to the famous Alonso turn 9 and 10. It's what I'm going to call it from now on, after Alonso did that beautiful move to the inside a couple of years ago.
Indeed, and Harvey, let's see what he can do in that second sector. Heading down towards Turn number 11, of course, 2 cars ahead are TF10. And they look to have decent first and middle sectors, but of course the first one to cross the line will be ABS's Tamas Kokani, who had a bit of a poor exit out of the final corner. Heads up to the line, it will be a 126.673. Next we have Chanakinchi to the line at 26.485. Alex Santana a 491, 6 thousandths separating the two teammates. And then we see, I believe that's going to be Gianluca. Only P4 there with a 26.9. What about Harvey Cohen at 26.6? And then we will see the other Aston Martin of Exafox at 26.6 as well for ABS. What about Streets here for FCT at 27.1? And then we have Adam Schumer at P7. And finally, Pasquale Ranielli. What will it be here for him to the line? A 26.5. This session so far looks a little bit slower than our last one.
Initially, yeah, we've got a couple times floating around the box. We're not seeing anybody break down into that 26.3, 26.2 that we saw on the initial bankers. Still under 14 minutes left to go. Plenty of time for the track evolution to do its job and for these drivers to find that extra few tenths and thousandths that could make the difference in their qualifying session. It's all for their teams. They're not representing themselves as drivers. They're representing their team. So huge pressure resting on these drivers' shoulders to make sure that they can produce the best lap possible and get their team a chance, 1 in 3, to be there in Season 6.
Certainly. And I believe Harvey has got a lot more time in that lap because when he was heading through turn 4, he had a massive snap, completely lost the rear and lost at least 2 or 3 tenths. So could have been a top time there for Harvey. Pasquale as well, when I was on board with him, also had a bit of a poor final sector. So PR have got a lot of time. I think the same goes for ABS because X-Fox and Tamas Kokani on normal days will be a lot higher than where they are at the moment. But TF10 are entering this session as the strong team. Both in the point fours, that being Chanakinchi and Alex Santana. Just heading back into the pits. So is everybody else, apart from Darker, I think it was Darks and Nays, but we'll just stick to Darks, who's just heading down towards turn 8 on an outlap. But I've got to say, for a team that I've never heard of, a 27-1 for Streets wasn't too bad.
No, considering that, I've never heard of this team either. Seem to be fairly recent, making the known here in E-Series as well. What a place to make yourself known. I've never seen the team FCT. They've never tried to qualify in E-Series before. This is the first time, and they're just a few tenths away from drivers that we know, drivers that we've seen, teams that we know of, and teams that we've seen of. So this could be, you know, a good possibility for FCT to get themselves on the map, as you would say.
Indeed, as let's see what Darks can do here in the McLaren. Of course, hopefully he doesn't get held up by cars that will be heading out the pit lane soon. But I think, yes, he might make it past just before they end up exiting the pit lane. So let's see what Darks can do here. Heading down towards turn 1 here in the McLaren. His first lap of the session. Of course, his teammates only managing a 127.1. Let's see what he can do here as he heads down to the first braking zone. Down to turn 1, misses the apex slightly. That will lose him some time. Hopping the curb through turn 3, riding the curb through riding the curb through turn 3, down towards turn number 4. Let's see what he can do here. Braking nice and late, gets the car turned in, hops the curb, runs wide on the exit. This should be a decent first sector here for Darks. It will be a 27.9. That's around a tenth quicker than what we saw from Harvey Cohen. So that shows how slow Harvey's sector was because, of course, if we expect to see what we expect from FCT, it won't be a 26.6.
Now we'll stay on board with Dark to see what he can pull out in Sector 2. He's just got around the famous turn 10, gets that DRS open and keeps powering on. Everybody else on outlap, so he's the only driver looking to set a time on that timetable. Everybody just warming up their tyres and getting themselves ready, burning off a bit of fuel. But I don't know, he's looking comfortable. The corners, the lines, it's not too bad. He maybe just be dropping a little bit of pace though. Just crossed it with a 1:04.899 as I can see. Into the Sector 2 split. Gets down into Sector 3 now, but the final time will be the tell. What can we see? Can he break into the 26 time and help FCT ever more? They're currently sat there on the 27 with Strees. But here comes Dark. Flat towards the line. Rear wings open. Across it. Oh, wow! Oh, my God. Where did that come from? I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet.
What a lap. Brilliant. P1 for FCT. There we go. I mean, I didn't expect that one to be flown out at us, but there we go. FCT at 126.410. As we have had Gianluca enter back into the session, of course. Had, yes, a bit of I think had a disconnection earlier on. Has got back in, but of course doesn't matter anyway because TRT won't be through into the next into E-Series. But let's see what Tamas Kokani can do here in that middle sector. P7 at the moment, a 26.673 for Tamash as he heads down towards turn number 9 and 10. Of course, his teammate, X-Fox, up in P5 at 26.613 as well. This is looking to be decent so far for Tamash, but of course it's all about this middle sector. I think that's where you kind of earn the most time, especially through turn 5 down to turn 10.
Yeah, absolutely. And now as he comes back up the incline, what's that sector 2 split going to give him? He's a 10th up on the time, so he's looking to get up there potentially a little bit higher, P3, P4 in the standings, but he's still got a double right-hander to go, 14 and 15 as he comes down sector 3, and we'll have that final little boost for DRS. It's not a lot, but it may be just enough to give you a little thousandth, maybe if not. And he does come down towards the line. There's that little bit of a boost, crosses the line, and it's Paul. It's a 26.2 for Tamas Kokani, puts ABS to the top. Lovely stuff.
A nice lap indeed there by Tamash. What about Streets? To the line, goes up into P5 with a 26.541. The next to cross the line will be one of the Mercedes. That'll be Alex Santana, who's up in the middle sector, but has chose to bail. What about Pasquale Ranielli, currently P6, with a 26.561. Needs to have an improvement here on this next lap here in the Ferrari. Up to the line, well, it put him P2 at 26.373. Harvey Cohen was up by a couple of tenths, but has suffered from an invalidation. Not the start he would have been hoping for here on this lap. Exafox also bailing into the pits. But FCT, their combined time is not that shabby, to be fair to them. So great job by FCT here as Adam Schumacher begins his next lap.
Got on board with Adam Schumacher rocking the V-carb colours. Although TRT have that 1.5 second penalty, they're still looking to claw back some time, but with that 1.5 second penalty, especially with grids this close, is a staggering loss, and it wouldn't surprise me to see TRT to qualify at the bottom of the 14 teams that have chose to sign up with that added time. It's huge.
Yeah, I think that's kind of confirmed, isn't it, for TRT that they won't even finish in the top 10 here. A 1.5 second plus on the fact that they're already nearly a second off isn't ideal for the team from Italy, who of course are quite well known. They're quite renowned over in the Italian scene, especially over on Assetto Corsa Competizione, iRacing, LMU. So yeah, a shame not to see them up at the top here compared to where they were around a year ago when they qualified for season 4 and finished in P6. Big turnarounds of that team, unfortunately, for the worse, as Adam is up by a couple of tenths here, would put him just below Harvey, on for a 26.7, but of course still has a sector to go here on this next lap as Gianluca is just heading in towards turn 10, so we'll also be looking for an improvement. But here, out of the final corner here for Adam Schumacher, what will it be for TRT? Up to the line of 26.638, puts himself just ahead of Harvey Coburn.
Yeah, not too shabby a lap, but not really in a fight for a qualifying spot. As we know, they're just here, just showing up for the chills at this point, just being a part for the hell of it. And that unfortunate penalty, it's cost them massively. But we'll look on at who else could be potentially coming in towards the line. It's the teammate Gianluca. Any improvement? 2 tenths up currently, so not looking to move up a position. If that stays at 2 tenths, will be a 26.7 as it is. 26.767 stays exactly where he is, but now we have Dark starting another lap.
Indeed, we do. Let's see what Darks can do. Heading down towards turn 1, late on the brakes. Bit of a slide through the first corner, but not too shabby here so far. Through turns 2 and 3, up the hill, down towards turn 4. Of course, DRS is open. It was a 27.9 last time here for Darks in Sector 1, so let's see if he can find a bit of time in that McLaren. As he heads to the end of that first sector, he's down by 23 thousandths here, so still, he's on a decent time either way, but of course wants to be finding more and more time in that McLaren here. Through turn 8, oh, and that's going to be his lap done, I think. Has a massive slide. The car heads sideways out of the corner, and I think that certainly cost that lap, as we do see the next car will be Chanakinchi, just heading down towards turn 9 himself here for TF10. Of course, I think it was Alex that went out earlier on, bailed back in after being a couple of tenths up, and Chan just on his second lap now at the moment as he heads his way down towards turn 11.
Yeah, absolutely. This is where you need to be able to throw that car left and not catch any sort of understeer, any sort of slide that can cost you any momentum. You need to try and maintain all the speed because you're flat to the floor once again around 12, and then you need to slow it right back down again for 13, hook it round the right-hander, and then back on the throttle once again. It's very important to maintain all the momentum, and Chan was a tenth up, just over a tenth up, but still has 2 turns to go, but saw Tomasz Kenny pull a major improvement out on his previous pole sitting lap, but not happy. It dives into the pits.
Yeah, not ideal there for Chan. Obviously, just preferred to go at the end of the session and go for that one final run as Gianluca also follows him into the pits. Then we have Alex Santana, who's also entering the pit lane along with not Pasquale Ranieri. He's just starting a lap now, so has gone a little bit out of sync compared to everybody else. He's either going to go for his full lap and go back in, or do the lap and head into the pits at the end and then prepare to go once again. We'll have to see what Pasquale's strategy is here, but let's see what he can do in Sector 1. Of course, currently is on a 26.373. And yeah, looking decent, but Harvey needs to find at least 5 tenths here. Otherwise, they've got no chance of qualifying because at the moment, Shizu and PR, of course, both of their drivers were in the 0.1s, and they currently sit first and second. So I think it's pretty much 0.1s minimum if you want to qualify here.
Yeah, and Pasquale has picked up an invalidation. Exo Fox dives into the pits. Has the time to go again. Does Pasquale, but he needs to get in there now and hope that his teammate's not going to withhold him as Harvey comes out of the pits to start his final lap. Just under 3 minutes left to go. Getting to the final closing stages. We see the Mercedes and a V-Cab take to the track. And we'll see who is first to take us away with what could potentially be the final lot of laps.
We certainly will, as let's see, as they begin to exit out the pit lane. Of course, the first Adam Schumer. Yeah, not being the night that TRT wants. I mean, at least, fair play to them for still turning up. I mean, if I had 1.5 seconds worth of penalties, I'd just be like, yeah, I'm not going to bother. So great job on them turning up and still going for it either way. I suppose also it just shows for them if they can, do well here, what it could have been if they didn't serve their penalties. So yeah, not too bad, not too ideal here for TRT. Then of course behind those will be, behind him will be Chanakinchi in the Mercedes. Of course for TF10, they have to find at least 4 tenths each. You want to be at least 5.5 up if you want to be safe. Of course here in that top 3, of course the top 2 are both on the mid to low 0.1. So Chan needs to be ideally in the 0.0s here, along with Alex, if they want to have a chance at qualifying. Otherwise, once you start to get the likes of FVR and TES come in, they are the 2 teams which I think are going into this, pretty much betted for first and second, because they are probably the 2 best community teams at the moment. Of course, TES have Jan Halliday and Camel Snatcher, insane lineup, and FVR have Keaton Lupp and Renz Thomason, another very good lineup. So those 2 definitely interesting to watch for heading into Group C. But here we go, Corey, a minute to go, and all our drivers are heading out once more.
Yeah, we're on board with Chanakinchi, who will take us away with the first time lap out of these final lot of runs as we approach that 1 minute final timer mark for all drivers to take to the tarmac and get ready for a final run. We do see Gianluca ahead, I believe, but has he got the time to go around? I don't think he has. Oh, no, that's not Gianluca.
No.
Who's that ahead?
No. Pasquale went out a little bit too late, unfortunately, around 10 seconds late, so he won't make the line here in this session. So I think PR's chances are also out of the window here, because a 0.373 is not going to be safe if you want to be heading your way into E-Series. Harvey Cohen will have to pull something out of the back here if he wants to try and solidify an opportunity for Parnell. I'm thinking too far back for Prodigy Racing here this evening. But the next car on a lap here who actually has a chance is going to be Chanakinchi.
Yeah, absolutely. He's coming up to turn 11 now. Crucial to maintain momentum and speed as you get through this left and right-hander. But he's looking fairly well tucked away, clean, and will hit that Sector 2 split with a 2.5, just under 2.5 tenth improvement. So it's looking like a contention for the fastest time, but still not as fast as we've seen from Group A, being a 26.1. Everybody's still trying to chase that 25 time that will almost potentially guarantee their spot if they can hit it in the Season 6 qualifying session. There goes Akinchi, sorry, I keep messing that name up. Well, it's 26.2. We'll look further back to TRT driver coming down, but will not make the cut, unfortunately. We'll go on board with Harvey Cohen, who's currently improving, but is it enough to help PR up there? It's a 26.653 at the minute and improves to a 26.3, so 26.3s all around for PR. That's not too shabby, not too bad. Looking close. It could be fine margins down to it as FCT finish off with 26.4s. And now we'll look down. It's Alex it's Alex who goes across the line for P4, 26.353.6, and then who's next? I missed that one.
You missed it in saying that there from Tamas Kokani, 26.099, our first into the 26 zeros this evening. A brilliant lap, and then his teammate Exafox of 26.369. So that could be their demise here in heading into this one. But a great lap there from Tamas Kokani. But the order, of course, has ABS Tamas on top ahead of Chanakinchi, Harvey Cohen, Alex Santana, Exafox, Pasquale Ranieri, Darks, Streets, and then, of course, the two TRTs of Gianluca and Adam Schumer.
Very good time there from Tomasz Kenny. Still trying to chase that 25 time. People have been saying it's possible. It's possible. We've seen it in the chat. But still a driver yet to hit it. Fastest time so far from Tomasz Kenny, 26.099.
Certainly. And, of course, Connor now will be updating all of our times onto the spreadsheet. So shortly we'll have a little bit of a look over and see what we'll get. I just saw Connor pop his name up. He's just got onto the spreadsheet now, so he'll be logging in all of the times as we just wait for the session to end. Then, of course, I can head out and start planning. See. And I've got to say, Corey, that has gone really quick, hasn't it?
It has, absolutely. I did not expect sessions to be to go so fast. It seemed like Group A was a little bit slower in terms of how long it felt that it was going on for, but the laps were certainly flooding out there as we got going into Group B, and now we get ourselves ready for Group C. I'm going to pull that up now so you can have a look to see the final 4 teams looking to set their times and potentially get their spots, 1 of 3 in Season 6, as we have 7 auto qualifiers, 6 being the pro teams and 1 your last season, Season 5 champions of Veloce Esports. Here is Group C. Thomas NG Sim Racing, FBR Campeonato, Ventari Esports and RSC. 2 names especially that I'm keeping my eyes on. That is TES and FVR. Keep your eyes out for them. FVR have qualified out here in the past, I believe. I'm just pulling up my load of notes once again. So they qualified 2nd in Season 5, 4th in Season 4 as a reserve, 5th in Season 3 and 2nd in Season 2. Have taken part 3 times, but they have never finished above 8th position, that being FVR. Thomas NG Sim Racing, who you have seen before time and time again, have qualified 5th in Season 5, finished 2nd in the championship. So that is something that you ought to keep your eye out. They are not a team that you should underestimate. They were 5th in qualifying, but 2nd in the championship. They were 2nd in Season 4 qualifying, 2nd in Season 3, and 1st in Season 2. So keep your eyes peeled for TES before we get to Venturi Esports, previously NLR. So they've undergone a bit of a name change. Qualified 10th in Season 5, 9th in Season 4, 8th in Season 3, and 9th in Season 2. And RSC Esports are a new team to the scene, not qualified, just new in general. So keep your eyes peeled for what they may be able to produce.
Indeed, and we have got some of our drivers heading into our Group C, just accepting them on Steam, getting them all into the session. So I'm just going to try and get them all in. Of course, Tess, strong team heading into qualifying here. Of course, Jan Halliday and Kamil Satchera. Of course, Jan, part of the Aston Martin team, and Kamil recently departing the Ferrari team. So 2 very big drivers here heading into this one. Just going to get them all invited in so we can get started for our final qualifying of the evening. And I've got to say, Corey, you haven't done any qualifying here before, have you, for E-Series? And every time it just seems to go so quick already in our final session of the evening.
Yeah, absolutely. It has absolutely flown by. I was expecting it to feel like a bit of a drag. 3 qualifying sessions? Absolutely not. It's been a blast all the way through. And some of the laps that we've seen out of nowhere, could there be an underdog that rises to the top spot here in season 6? And it's lovely to see it with my very own eyes, I've got to say. Not just watching the stream live on YouTube, I'm actually here to on the tarmac, taking a little look, virtually on the tarmac, we should say, taking a look at the drivers as the laps unfold. So it's lovely to be in a part of, and of course, thank you to SRC that have made all of this possible. And with their sponsorships, we can move forward and progress. And if you want some setups or any products from SRC, get yourself over there. Make sure you show your love and support, because without them, season 6 would not be here right now. You can always experience excellence with SRC.
You certainly can. Just waiting for everybody to start joining in. We've got 4 of our drivers into the session, so I'm just going to grab a couple more. Of course, I think another team to watch out for is VNT, Ventera Esports. They've got Steven Vasso and Alexander Dimas, 2, yet again, very quick drivers. Of course, Alexander has been around for quite a while. I think started back on F121. And then Steven only seemed to really pick up the pace heading on to F124, and of course has since kept that consistency heading into this one, as we're just waiting to get some people in. And it seems there's been a change down at FVR. We've now got Rihard Sprogis joining the session for those, so to get him in.
Oh, but is that going to slap them that half-second penalty with a last-minute reserve swap?
Oh,
That
oh,
could
they're
be
fine.
the
They was
fine.
correct. There was 2 minutes they had spare.
Oh, so they've managed to get that in. They've managed to get that in within time.
Yeah.
Lovely stuff. We are waiting for them all to get in the lobby, but before that, we are going to take one last look at the calendar to come for season 6 here in E-Series. Starting off in Australia, then on to Brazil, Mexico, Belgium, and a reverse Austria Grand Prix during the first 5 rounds before we have a week break, August 22nd. Back to racing, August 29th for Miami, Spain, Britain, Italy, Baku, Azerbaijan, Texas, and my favourite, of course, Saudi Arabia. Cannot glaze that track enough. It just feels good. It just feels good to drive. I like it. I love Jeddah. It is a bit of a safety car
Indeed,
magnet, but I
and
love it.
we've brought time back, Corey. We started session 1 a bit late, 5 minutes late. We are now ready to go into this final session. We're ready to ready up and get in, as we have our 4 teams all in the session. Brens Thomason, the final one, just to get in, and he's now just loading in, and then we can set sail for our final qualification lobby of the evening. Of course, at the moment, our top 3 consists of Prodigy Racing, Shizou, Cedars Igniters, and then ABS Esports. Those 3 teams separated by just under 0.2 of a second, and then TF10 currently occupy that reserve spot. But of course now, things are going to start to get interesting, because TES and FVR have joined in. And those are 2 teams which should be occupying one of those 3 spots. Everybody have asked, who do you think will be, getting into E-Series? They've all said TES and FVR.
Well, never say never. They are 2 well-known teams. Certainly, drivers are well-known, to say the least. Of course, for Tess, that Camille Stachura recently leaving Ferrari, and Jean Halliday has proven his worth, taking championships across the grid and across the league world. And then don't forget FVR with Rihard Sprogis, again a champion that's known across the league world, and Rens Tomasson. So 2 very capable drivers for FVR, 2 very capable drivers for TES, 2 very large threats to bring the pressure to this qualifying session, especially this final Group C. We've had 10 teams run in the first 2 groups, and now as we get going for the final group, it all comes down to the wire with 4 teams that could potentially snatch it all away.
Indeed, we've got everybody everyone's in. We're now readying up. A few seconds to go before we start to head our way into the final session of the evening, and then of course we get to see who can qualify for season 6. Of course, a reminder who qualified for season 5. We had a lot more teams looking to enter in. Then we had 6 spots available. The top 6 were Veloce Academy, FVR, CPI, TF10, TES, and ABS, and then TTM as a reserve. At the moment, we've got none of those teams occupying the top 3, bar 1 being ABS. TES are yet to try and qualify, same for FVR. And then we have TF10, who are currently in P4. I don't think it's looking likely that they will head into E-Series for their 5th time since Season 1.
Oh, interesting stuff. We are still waiting to get this underway, but I'm excited. I've got to say, Nathan, I am very excited to see what is going to happen and what we could pull out here in this final qualifying session. The drivers are now to the grid. Everybody is getting themselves ready to get going for Group C, the final 18 minutes of qualifying. Who is going to guarantee one of 3 spots? With TES now showing up and FVR now showing up, the pressure is well and truly on. But don't go anywhere because we are getting underway for the final qualifying session, Group C.
Definitely are. All the cars now heading their way out onto track immediately. The first one out will be one of the Williamses. That will be Renz Thomason for FER. And I just saw an Aston Martin shoot through the floor. I think it was Camille for me.
For me, it was the McLaren of Lucas. Oh, see, we're not going crazy. This is actually happening.
It's happened to one car every time.
Yes.
And for me, it was Camel Satcher. For you, it was, what would you say, one of the McLarens,
Lucas,
was it?
yeah,
RSC? Oh, dear me. I mean, at least the bugs in this game aren't, like, detrimental and they don't affect, like, the actual performance like we've had in 24. So, yeah, that's one good thing, I suppose.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely. He's going to be first out.
Are on board with Renz Thomason in his Williams colours for the qualifying session. Everybody else lining up in a train right behind. Look at that. Nobody wasting any time. Getting every valuable second that they need. There is the opportunity to go for 4 runs if you choose the tyre compound allocation correctly. And if you go out right away in qualifying, waste no time. Apply the setup, drop the fuel, make sure you're ready to go. Get out there. And then you can save every second needed, because it could make the difference in your position in this next season.
It certainly could do. And our first car out, of course, is Renz, and we have Richard Sprogis next to follow, followed by the 2 test cars, the 2 VNTs, and then the 2 RSCs at the back of the field. So lots of times are going to be flying through very quickly, but let's see what can Renz Thomason do here for FVR, of course, as we said before. 2nd in Season 5, 4th in Season 4, 5th in Season 3, 2nd in Season 2 and 4th in Season 1. They are always near the top when it comes to qualifying, and of course in Season 4 and 3 where they didn't qualify to E-Series, they were reserved, so technically they've qualified for something all 5 seasons. If they didn't here, that would be the first time they've came out of this with absolutely nothing. So lots of pressure on here for Renz and Richard as they head through that first sector, and a 27.7 for Renz. Not too bad here for his sector 1.
No, looking very tidy, shabby and squared away. Calm and collected is Renz Thomason, but you can expect it from a driver of his calibre. A name that I've seen all too many times charging through the field and pulling off overtakes. But he comes around turn 10 now, gets going nice and shabby in sector 2. No signs of struggle, no signs of locking up and sliding. Seems very comfortable in that car so far. But as we come around into turn 11 now, gets around turn 12, we'll see what sort of time he's putting in that sector 2.
See, I've seen a few people say, what the hell, low 7S1 banker. 4 people did that, because I looked through on as many people as I could. 4 people did a 0.7 there for sector 1. So, that's going to be close here in this one. This is going to be by far the most competitive session we've had so far this evening. Let's see what Renz Thomason can do. First lap on the board here for FBR. First lap of the session. A 26.1.
Oh,
what a lap to start off for FBR. Richard Sprogis to the line. A 0.0. That's the fastest time we've seen so far this evening. With a 0.086. Hamel Statra jumps up into 3rd. Halliday is into the pits. What about Stephen Vasso to the line, a 0.427. Alexander Dimas will do a 0.302. And then us at RSC are the next ones to cross the line here, Corey.
Yeah, one driver invalidating. That will be Ryan into the pits. It's Lucas to get a 26.5. Jean Halliday not getting a lap in. And Ryan also not getting a lap in. Wow! Already on banker laps, the first laps were breaking the record from Group 1 and Group 2. This is crazy stuff. You boys need to look and learn. FVR are here to take one of those positions. Is this the underdog team from the bottom that we've been waiting for that could challenge these esports pros that have auto-qualified? Oh my word.
Well, Corey, I would like to tell you they've already qualified. They are the top time combined out of everyone already, so they are through now. Brilliant for FPR. They've qualified at top Of course, unless VNTS, RSC and Test do something about it, they are through pretty much. So 99.9999999%.
That's crazy. Crazy stuff. Beautiful opening laps for FBR, and they have certainly shown that they are a force to be reckoned with. They are a contender of qualifying on banker laps. I mean, it's a banker. Come on, calm down, boys.
That puts so much pressure on Test now because they've got to get minimum both into the 0.1s unless someone can do like an insane 0.9 or something. Because we have obviously Prodigy Racing at the top with a 0.285 combined. That's a 0.115 and a 0.17. Then we have SCI, a 0.11 and a 0.265. Pretty much with FVR on a 0.0 and 0.1, we need both test cars in the 0.1s if they want to qualify. The same goes for VNT and RSC, but Camel's lap there, not the strongest. Jan had an invalidation.
Well, Jan's
Is
back
the pressure
out.
getting to them?
Jan's going again. He is going to go again. He's coming up towards turn 12 now, so about 30 seconds off the start of his lap, and things could go towards TES's way if they can produce some much needed times. I mean, if they can just sort of balance out average times with FBR, they will also guarantee their spot in there. It'll be two teams qualifying from Group C, and you're absolutely right, Nathan, when you said that this is the most competitive of the groups. Look at the times as they flood the table.
Well, let's see what Jan can do. All the way onto the right-hand side, looking to try and extend the track as much as possible. In an Aston Martin here for Tess. Down to turn 1, gets the car flicked in nicely, but absolutely nowhere near the apex through that first couple of corners. As he heads his way up towards turn 4, DRS open here for Jan Halliday, his teammate. Camel Statra is on an outlap as we head into turn 4 here with Jan. What can he do through this first sector? Needs to be in the mid to high 27s. It's a 27.878. It's not too bad, but I've seen better here so far as he heads down to turn 8. Back on the pole once again as he heads up towards turn 9. And you can see Jan is pushing here. He's got 11 minutes to go, so he's still got at least 2 runs after this. But he's just not hooking it up correctly. He's missed turn 1 apex, turn 10 apex. This is not looking too good for Jan.
No, it's not indeed. It's not looking too good for TES either. If Jan Halliday can't pull a much needed time out, if he ends up levelling the 26.5, then they can kiss their chances goodbye, but they've still got 10 minutes to go qualifying. Still plenty of time to get their laps going. Camille, he's on the track on his outlap, so he's looking to improve so far. We're still on board with Jan Halliday as he's coming down towards the final 2 turns. Now, this is crucial. Needs to try and get there, at least 26.4, at least a 26.3 to get any sort of hope, any sort of chances to be here in qualifying. Comes towards the line. It's going to be a 26.3, just on the cusp of what could be possible. And it's now for Camille to try and pull it back, but it's a good starting lap for Jan Halliday, though, to show that he has got some pace.
He certainly has. As next we have Ryan Bakar heading through the final couple of corners. What can the RSC driver do? Up to the line in the McLaren will set a 126.414, and then we will have Camel Satra starting a lap here down to turn 4 in the Aston Martin for TES. Of course, Jan Halliday sits in 4th with a 0.328. He needs a couple of tenths. Camel Satra basically needs half a second here, but he's down in sector 1 already. This is not ideal for Camel as he heads down towards turn number 8. Of course, getting the car turned in nice and early, hits the apex. Back on the pole straight away. Battery being deployed as he heads down towards the double left-handers of turns 9 and turn 10. Gets the car turned in, misses the apex slightly, but carries good speed through. Bit of a snap on the rear as he exits the corner. Let's see what he can do here, Corey, heading into the end of sector 2.
Yeah, up towards turn 11 and turn 12. Again, crucial to maintain momentum and exit speed as you're flat on the floor around turn 12. You can't cost yourself any sort of slip and slide, but he's still not up on the delta. He's down by just under half a tenth of a second. Camille Stature is on a stinky lap, and this could be TES downfall. I don't want to jinx it. I'm touching wood as my desk is made of it, but for TES, this is not the qualifying they wanted, not the qualifying they'd hoped for.
No, he's back in. He's not going to be setting another lap here. This is not going well for Tess at all. Renz wants to make FER's chances even more higher. To the line, goes to the top. A 0-1-2. Smashes the time by Rihard Sprogis, who's down by a couple of tenths. That doesn't matter because they've now pretty much auto-qualified straight away. That is insane. 0-1-2.
Lucas does improve for RSC. So 26.3. Next to the line is the Williams teammate, but does box. Not happy with that lap. No improvement coming. FBR have well and truly qualified. And for TES, they're just nowhere to be seen at the moment. It's VNT Alexander Damas. Who's doing it for VNT at the minute.
Yeah, insane lap there by Alexander Dimas. I mean, if Steven can get closer to that point 1 as well, they've got a possibility, they've got a chance to make it in. This could be a very interesting next 8 minutes here, guys, so please do not go anywhere here as things look to heat up. Of course, FVR have pretty much solidified, I'll get my words out, solidified their chances, but VNT and TES are the ones looking to fight with SCI for that final spot here.
Oh, this is crazy. This is crazy. I never expected to see this. My first time here in E-Series, but TES is certainly a team I am well known of. I've heard of them. I've seen them compete in championships in the past, and to see them off the pace like this, it is depressing.
I mean, they've scored 8 podiums in the past 3 seasons. They've had 2 wins. They finished 2nd. They lost the championship in the finale with about 5 laps to go. They now might not be qualified for next season. That is insane.
That's such a drop-off.
I mean, you can't believe it, can you? I mean,
no.
The thing is, before you'd say, well, they haven't got Jan and Nelson, but Jan's there. He's one of the, the 2 that were insane last season. So, I mean, we can't call it quits yet. I mean, they've still got another few minutes to go. But with the way it's gone so far, they've got to just lock in and, maybe be offered £1 million and say, well, if you qualify, you get £1 million each. Maybe things would be different then.
I mean, it's certainly given them the incentive to do so.
And I've seen that. FER won't qualify if they impede someone. What is Connor alluding to? Has there been any reports being made, possibly?
Well, if you're in
if
you're in the Discord, we get shout-outs on the official final standings as well on the social medias, on the Twitter, so keep your eyes peeled, because what you may expect to be the final 3 qualifiers may not be outside of Steward's reportings, because impeding is well and truly still a thing. So you may have written down the times, FBR may be looking good, but have they kept their nose clean?
Well, I don't think anyone's reported yet, so I think they are safe. I think Connor's just trying to wind us up a little bit here, but Jan Halliday goes again for TES, of course, looking to qualify once again for E-Series. Have qualified consecutively since Season 2. They qualified Season 5, 4, 3 and 2, so this should just be normal for them. This should just be the status quo, but so far it's not. Let's see what Jan can do in that Sector 1. Needs to be on a 0.7 or 0.6 ideally. It's a 0.7, he's up by a 10. It's going better here for Jan, but of course 2 sectors to go. You can still fail there. So he's got to hope he can just stick it together in Sector 2 and Sector 3, which in my opinion are harder than Sector 1 to get perfect.
Yeah, of course. Especially when you're coming towards that turn 11, I can't stress this enough. You're trying to maintain speed and just flick the car in, and it's very easy to get it to slide out wide. And at that point, you're not on the throttle as fast as you want to be. You're not picking up speed again, and you drop tense like a sieve. Drop in water! Oh, Jan Halliday almost pointing towards the wall and the barrier there. Did very well to save the car, but that 10-second that he had has certainly gone out of the window. He's barely leveling his qualifying time, and it's all gone out of the window for Jan Halliday, but he's still got 4.5 minutes to go again. Certainly he's going to dive into the box with this and not set the time. That was disastrous. There he goes. We saw that there. Woohoo! Pressure is building.
Hamill's only up by a couple of tenths in the middle. This is going to be a 0.2 at max here, unless he can ace the final sector. Up to the line here for Camel Satra. What will it be? A 0.234. They're getting closer to being qualified, but they've still got to do a bit of work on their final couple of runs. As we have Renz Thomason, is he on a lap or is he heading back into the pits? Well, he's down by 3 thousandths here, so I think he might be going for a 25.9.
Well, he's looking for an improvement on his lap, and it's only a few thousandths away.
Steven Basso! I missed that one. Hang on.
Oh!
PNC, a 0.8, 0.08 and a 0.1. That means they're in the top 3 currently.
Oh my word. Stephen Vassor, Alexander Damas, they are up there. They're in this, up the Venturi. Wow.
But, oh my. I mean, just wait for Connor quick, because Connor's just got to put in the times they've got now. And then, of course, we can go back and have a look once it's all been updated. But yes, they're on a 0.198, which puts them P2.
They're qualified.
Why?
VNT are in unless TES can knock them down. But even then, they'll only knock them down to third. They're in.
Oh my goodness. But of course, things can change, but I think it's pretty safe to say they are in. Oh my. This is insane things in E-Series. I was saying to friends earlier on, there's got to be an upset. VNT are looking to give us that upset here. Stephen Vasso and Alexander Dimas. But then again, they've still got Tess to argue with. Tess could still be the one to try and knock them out, but it's going to be close, isn't it?
Well, who lines up third at the minute? What's the times? How close are we? It could come down to fine margins here.
Third is Prodigy.
So, Prodigy
Prodigy.
Racing, yeah, third.
Which means Shazoo are currently sitting P4, ABS are out, TF10 are out. So it's between Tess, FBR, Venturi, and Prodigy.
Oh my word. Could Prodigy Racing be the team to knock out TES? They have been here since Season 2 and may not even qualify, be out-qualified here by Prodigy Racing. They look very good in that first session, but wow, they need to pull something out here, the Tess. We're on board with Jan Halliday as he's on his out lap and looking to try and bring that lap time that's needed for TES.
The legend of Jona Martins, as he always is, gives us some information. Jan needs a .050 if Camel doesn't improve if they want to beat PGR. So, unless our SC pulls something out the bag, which I doubt is going to happen, Tess need Jan with a .050 to get top 3.
We need a 3/10 improvement, like, this is crazy.
But then again, if you look at these 8 drivers here and you say, right, I need someone to find time, I need someone to find 3/10, I'm immediately locking eyes on Jan Halliday. He's that one that I'd want to be looking to improve. So, a lot of pressure. Everything lays on him and Camille here for Tess. VNT are auto-qualified at the moment, same as FBR. What can Tess do? Let's have a look. Jan, heading to the end of Sector 1.
Well, is it an improvement where it's needed most? He's in the 27s, it's 27.7, it's 1.5, a tenth and a half up currently as he gets going into Sector 2, but he needs a little bit more than that. Can he pull another tenth and a half out before he hits that Sector 3? It's where it's needed, it's what he needs to do. He needs to break into that 26 flat and needs to hit a 0.05, sorry, that we've been told by Jona Martins if he wants to beat PGR, unless Camille can do some form of improvement and help Halliday on his run with TES.
This is going to be intense. I'm shaking here, Corey, and I'm not even part of one of these teams. We have a couple of sectors to go.
Whoa!
Yes, by 2.5 tenths here. He might be close to that time he needs if he wants to give Tess a chance of qualifying for Season 6 of E-Series. They've qualified every time since Season 2. They do not want to be in a situation where they don't qualify or they're on the cusp. Jan, beat sliding through the final corner, heading up to the line for Tess. What will it be for Jan Halliday?
Nice!
0.153. Camille needs at least a 10th here if he wants to take Tess through into Season 6 of E-Series. As we follow him through sector number 1. Let's see what he can do here, Corey. He's only up by 0.010.
Oh my word, Halliday needed it, but he lost a bit of time. They still need a 10th at least. Camille, do you have it in the bag? You're only 100th of a second. You need to times that by 10 to get on through, but he comes through turn 10 now, gets that rear wing open and pushes on by with a VNT driver ahead of him that are well and truly qualified. TES could be seen well and truly out of Season 6 at this rate. It's all on Camille Statura's hands, on his shoulders. Do not let the pressure build up and get to you, Camille, as he hits that Sector 2 split. And he's barely down on the Delta time. He needs to find more in these final 2 turns. He needs to find a hell of a lot more. But I don't think he's going to come for TES by the skin of the teeth. Prodigy Racing may hold on.
They might do. Let's see what happens here then for Camel Statra. He needs an amazing final sector. Up to the line for Camel Statra. What's it going to be? Because I couldn't see.
I don't think he's improved.
He's P6. I think that means they're out.
I can't believe it's not butter. TES are out. They've not made it. by the finest of margins, Prodigy Racing have made it through, and TSC themselves not even in reserve. That is crazy stuff, crazy business, but there you have it. FBR, VNT, and PGR, Prodigy Racing, have made it through and will go on to challenge the 7 teams that had already qualified. Oh my word.
I mean, there we go. There we go. So FBR top it, then Terry sit in second, and PGR sit in P3. Tess, 5th place. Let's just run through what they've done in previous season. Season 2 first, Season 3 second, Season 4 second, Season 5 5th, Season 6 5th, and that's not going to be enough to see Test through into Season 6. Remember, they finished second. They lost the championship in the final round to Veloci Academy. They're not even in the top 10 for next season.
No, absolutely not. That's crazy. That's crazy. That is you've never seen it like this. Like I know TES, a team very capable of getting in there and qualifying at least. Sometimes they get there with a comfortable margin. They may even just feel like they don't need to put any more laps in and will wait to see where everybody else finishes. I've seen this from TES, and to see them not even qualify by the finest of margins, just so unfortunate. Bahrain has caught them out. The new game has caught them out. But for Prodigy Racing, welcome to E-Series.
Indeed, and Terry as well. I mean, they're a team that recently had a rebrand from NLR, and NLR, when they tried to qualify, have finished in the past. Well, I'll find them. 10th, 9th, 8th, and 9th. They have just qualified second under their rebrand. So is that rebrand helped them? It seems to have done so. But we'll run through the top 40, well, not top 40, but the full 14 teams heading through into Season 6. So, FBR, Venturi, and Prodigy Racing are confirmed top 3. They're auto-qualified in. We have SCI, who are going to be reserved, so if one of the teams drop out, they jump in. And then 5th down to 14th, we have TES, ABS, TF10, Precision Racing, RSC, Team FCT, ET8 Vroom, TRT, and then Sierra Esports. But insane scenes here. I can't believe it. Genuinely.
I'm sweating. Like you said, you were shaking, mate. I'm sweating, and we're just commentators watching this. We're not even in the driver's seat, and it gets us on the edge of our seat. It's knuckle biting stuff. My nails couldn't take any more off. It was just all out there in the final run. And in Group C, you see 2 teams qualify in. Group A, Prodigy Racing look good from the start and have secured their spot. Congratulations to them. First time qualifiers here in E-Series and managed to secure themselves a spot into Season 6, which has got to be probably looking like one of the most competitive seasons to come in E-Series.
Indeed, and there we go. What a night we've had here, Corey. Of course, your first time here in E-Series. I think you've certainly enjoyed yourself, because I have.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been here since Season 2. This has been by the best qualifiers we've had ever here. Really, really interesting evening. Great to see 2 new teams enter their way into the most prestigious championship here, bar F1 Sim Racing. But we're going to leave it here. That is everything, guys. So a big thank you to everyone who viewed. We had over 300 views at one point. Insane. Thank you all for tuning in. And then, of course, a big thank you to our sponsors of this season, SRC, Sim Racing Centre. Without that without that company here sponsoring us, we would not be here today. So a big thank you to those guys, over to Yorick, Brett, Thais, and etc. Great to have SRC on board. And remember, SRC, experience excellence. That's all from us tonight, guys. Make sure to get tuned in for July the 18th, where we return for round 1 of E-Series. Good night.